In HTML5, we have great support for embedding video and audio. Here's a real example. On sketch.com, we can see a video showcasing how this tool works. Now, this video doesn't have any control buttons like play and pause, but we can easily add them. So let me show you how to embed video and audio in your web pages. For this lesson, we're going to go to pexels.com. This is another website where you can find plenty of beautiful free photos and videos. So I'm going to search for ocean. And then on the top, select videos. So let's grab this video over here. Now, just like unsplash.com, we can download this video for free at different sizes. For this lesson, I'm going to download the HD version, which is smaller. We don't want to embed a large video file because if the user is on a slow connection, they're going to have a really bad experience watching the video. So let's download the smallest version. And of course, we should say thanks to Ruvim or Ravim, I don't know how to say their name. And I'm going to send them a donation right after this video. So here's our video file. Now in our project, I'm going to create a new folder called videos, and then drag and drop this new video into this folder. Now let's rename this to ocean, so the name is more descriptive. Now, back to index.html. To embed a video, use the video element. Now, just like the image element, here we have the source attribute. So we set it to video/ocean.mp4. So once again, we have a relative URL, but we could also use an absolute URL that starts with a /. Now let's save the changes and see what we get. All right, here's what we get. By default, we just see an image of the video, and this image is shown at the full size, which is larger than my browser window over here. So we have horizontal scrolling, which is really bad. So let's use CSS to change the size of this video. Here in the head section, we add a style element and define a rule for our video. I'm going to set the width to 400 pixels. Now, we don't have to set the height here. The browser will automatically calculate the height based on the aspect ratio of the video. So here's what we get. That's a lot better. Now let's add the control buttons. Now, to show the control buttons, all we have to do is to apply the controls attribute. This attribute is what we call a Boolean attribute. If you have done any programming, you probably know Boolean values, which can be true or false. Now, a lot of people have a misconception about Boolean attributes in HTML. They assume that they can set these attributes to true or false. Well, that is not correct. Here's the reason. If we set this to false, the browser will still show the control buttons. Let's verify this. So save, and back in the browser, here's the play button. We can also change the volume. We can make this full screen and so on. So this is not the way Boolean attributes work in HTML. The presence of a Boolean attribute represents the true value, and its absence represents the false value. So all we have to do to show the control buttons is to add the attribute. The value we set is irrelevant. Now we have another Boolean attribute called autoplay. As the name suggests, when we apply this attribute, the video automatically starts when our page is loaded. This is exactly like the video you saw on sketch.com. The video automatically started without me explicitly playing it. Another useful Boolean attribute you should know is loop. When we apply this attribute, the video will automatically loop. So this is how we can embed video in our web pages. Now, these days, most browsers have excellent support for the video element, but there is still one browser that doesn't support the video element. Let me show you. We go to caniuse.com. On this website, we can find out how different browsers support various HTML and CSS features. So let's search for video. Now the first item here is video tracks, which is used for displaying subtitles. Now look at this table. We have a lot of red boxes, which means the majority of browsers out there don't support this feature. So let's move on and look at the video element. We have a lot of green boxes, only a few red boxes. For example, Firefox version 2 or 3 don't support this feature, but this is a really old browser. It was mainly used between 2006 and 2008. Now look at the total usage of this browser in the world. It's 0.01%, really, really low. So I'm not worried about this browser. All the other versions of Firefox have perfect support for the video element. The only browser that doesn't support the video element is Opera Mini, which was released in 2015, and currently is used by 0.88% of the users in the world. I'm not personally familiar with this browser, But what we need to do with our video element is to provide a fallback text if their browser doesn't support the video element. So back to the code, inside the video element, we can provide our fallback text and say, your browser doesn't support videos. This is a common best practice. Now, what about audio? Well, we have another element for adding audio. It's exactly like the video element. So we specify the source, and we also have these Boolean attributes. So that's all about video and audio. Next, we're going to talk about lists.